I'm Marley Reynolds. I'm doing my presentation on veterans. They are a vulnerable population. I chose this topic because my grandpa is a veteran and it greatly shaped who he was and it impacted our family. So the description of the veteran population. Veterans are anybody who has served in the Army. That can be active duty, whether they have gone out into combat or they have just gone through training. Active duty veterans have gone overseas and possibly experienced traumatic events. This can include violence or death. Veterans who have participated in active combat, and especially those who have experienced traumatic events, are vulnerable to physical and mental ailments. The physical ailments can include cancer, amputation, paralysis. Mental ailments include PTSD, depression, and anxiety, to name a few. Veterans may also need extra access to health care for their health disparities. The government does provide assistance such as VA hospitals and clinics, however, there is not a lot of funding involved with those. Locally, in Salt Lake City, there are about 6,300 veterans in 2019. This is about 3.9% of the adult population. Statewide, there were about 145,000 veterans in Utah in 2015. About 6.5% of the adult population. Nationally, there were 18 million veterans in the U.S. in 2018, 7% of the adult population. Internationally, there are about 45 million veterans worldwide. There's a less percentage of veterans locally as compared to nationally. Social determinants of health. I chose healthcare access and quality. That could be a potential barrier for these veterans. Again, government assistance for healthcare may not provide the best quality of care due to low budgets and high cost of healthcare services. This can also include understaffing of the clinics and hospitals. VA hospitals are not accessible everywhere, national or globally, especially if you live in a more rural condition. They're usually in larger cities. There is a need for mental health institutes for veterans who struggle with anxiety, PTSD, and depression. Many people with mental health illnesses may not know where to go to receive quality help for these illnesses. They do offer mental health counseling and services at these VA clinics. However, wait times can be weeks, and with mental health, sometimes people need to be seen right away. So this is an issue. Specific concerns for the vulnerability of the veteran population. They witness traumatic events and it can result in retaliative, aggressive behavior at home. This can include intimate partner violence, which is increasing in the veteran population. It can increase risk for violence with self and others. People can have war flashbacks and or nightmares, mental health crisis, and increased risk for suicidal ideation due to these mental health crises. Root causes of veterans being a vulnerable population could be the mental health disparities. I think that is the biggest issue. War causes veterans to see traumatic events, causing anxiety, depression, suicidal ideation, even personality changes. They may not be compliant with their medical needs because of mental illnesses conflicting them. With Maslow's hierarchy of needs, physiological needs such as food, water, and rest are met. I feel the needs that are unmet are feelings of safety and security, intimate relationships, esteem needs, self-actualization. This could be due to their mental health blocks, including depression, anxiety, again, PTSD. Their anticipated functional level, I would like them to minimize anxiety, depression, and PTSD, able to hold relationships and function normally in society and not have aggressive behavior or personality changes. And then a likely health outcome could get to a functional level of living while minimizing effects of trauma and the impact on one's mental health. Every person and situation is different. This could just be in general. I know that war can definitely change someone's life and change family at home, so it would definitely be a good idea to get the mental health counseling even for family if needed. Communicable diseases aren't a huge issue with this population. I put MRSA from wound infections. I've seen that in the veterans hospitals. And then just communicable diseases in veterans homes could be COVID-19, influenza, norovirus, and tuberculosis, to name a few, but there are many out there. Non-communicable diseases or infections are anxiety, depression, post-traumatic stress disorder, suicidal risk, cancer, amputation of limbs from war, infection of wounds, and paralysis. 3% of people with cancer are veterans. This cancer can be due to exposure to toxic chemicals and weaponry during combat. Some of these diseases or infections could also be during the war or consequences afterwards. Self-care and self-harm. So veterans can have a high risk of depression and anxiety, so of course they will be at high risk for suicidal ideation. PTSD can also cause someone to participate in self-harm. This can be a way to get out of their mental crisis. Mental health counseling can greatly reduce the risk of self-harm in veterans. However, it can be hard to get an appointment. Antipsychotics and anxiolytics can also help veterans who are struggling with mental health. These are probably the biggest prescribed medications for the mental health crisis with veterans. Okay, so risk for harm by or to others. It can be higher in veterans compared to non-veterans. Intimate partner violence is prevalent in the veteran population. This can be caused by sexual harassment or physical harassment experienced in the military by their comrades. It can also be caused by physical and mental trauma experienced during deployment, and it is important to recognize early violent or aggressive behavior in order to get the appropriate counseling needed so it doesn't escalate. And then here are my references. So the veterans are definitely a vulnerable population, and I do feel like they could benefit from more easy access to veterans hospitals and clinics, and then better quality of care. Thank you.